Hello y'all, this is Hearts of Iron 4, or more specifically the developer diary giant bag of goodies for Hearts of Iron 4 that focuses on content for the upcoming DLC Trial of Allegiance, and that will release in early March 2024, and that is a country pack, so it mainly focuses on giving more countries focus trees, I suppose. I believe the previous one was Battle of the Bosporus, which gave ones to, I think, Bulgaria, Turkey, and Greece. So I'm just going to read through this and just give some reactions to it as we go along. Hello there, Avi here to introduce this week's Chunky Dev Diary, covering a variety of things. We'll be covering everything free going into the upcoming patch that will release alongside Trial of Allegiance, an overview of some major map changes in South America, as well as some content pack specific updates. Without further ado, let's get started. First up, we have Jonathan, Bolivia our patch. Hello again everyone, now it's time for me to show you guys some of the things for this bag of treats that I have been working on for the patch coming alongside the country pack Trial of Allegiance to Peru-Ecuador conflict. First up, in terms of what I've contributed to this bag of treats, is the Peruvian-Ecuadorian War of 1941. Now Ecuador starts with the ownership and core on Pastaza, and Peru will have to take it through war. With the option of a scripted peace if they manage to take it. Ecuador can, however, also secure themselves a scripted peace from this ordeal, as long as they take Loreto, which means a skilled Ecuador player can even gain territory from the conflict. And here is just some decisions for that conflict. Very nice. Continuing on here, we have something in war in South America, world news. And we have some new formable nations. But wait, there's more. Now, on to new formable nations that aren't the main countries getting focus trees in the DLC, which are Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. And these are included in the patch. And for this part, I'm especially looking at you, Hovalax. First on up is the Peru-Bolivian Confederation, formable in-game by either Peru or Bolivia. And here's the Peru-Bolivian Confederation, and the Peru-Bolivian Confederation was a state that existed from 1836 to 1839 that was kind of torn apart due to a war, and you can reform it now in the upcoming DLC and the new patch, well, the patch alongside it. The next one is the United Guyanas, formable by either Suriname, Guyana, or Cayenne, and that is in northern South America, and this territory is usually controlled by the Netherlands, the French, and the British, so the UK, France, and the Netherlands. They have territory here typically, but that's going to be a new formable country. And finally, for new formable nations coming to this patch, we have Hispaniola, and formable by either Haiti or the Dominican Republic. And historically, I think only Haiti accomplished this, uniting that island there, but they kind of lost control of it all. And now we have new releasable nations. Oh boy, now then we've arrived at the non-formable ones, but instead releasable nations added alongside this patch, or at least the ones that I've implemented. First up on the list, we have Quebec. Oh boy, Hoi 4 has Quebec. It's worth playing, folks. It's worth playing for that alone. And now we have Yucatan, and that's in the Yucatan Peninsula. Then comes another historical Mexican breakaway state, the Republic of the Rio Grande, and that is in northern Mexico. And finally, we have a new island nation, which you might have seen briefly in last week's Chile Dev Diary. That nation is Rapa Nui, most often known as Easter Island. Very nice leader portrait there. And going on, Canada war effort, and now merged into this patch is a Canadian war effort, updating and adding a small extra amount of content for our home and native land, Canada. To start off with, Canada has a new industrial concern available to them, and that being the Canadian Pacific Railway. That's going to help with railway construction speed, supply hub construction speed, and just producing trains. And after that comes the fact that the Canadian country leaders now start with their own unique leader traits, and these traits are Liberal Corporatist for Mackenzie King. J.S. Woodsworth, who I think is the non-aligned leader, will get Pioneer of the Canadian Social Gospel. Then Adrian Arcand will get the Canadian Fuhrer, and Tim Buck gets Veteran Communist. And there are also 3 new focuses available to Canada, this time with more focus on the Democratic branches. The first two give a national spirit each, and these focuses are the Dominion of Canada Rifle Association and the Canadian Citizenship Act. And then it says here, then this focus allows you to gain Newfoundland and Labrador despite staying with the Allies or even when going independent democracy. So that is going to be more land you can get as Canada if you stay with the Allies or go independent, but keep the democratic ideology as the ruling ideology. And a few of the old focuses have also been touched up, so I will show some but not all of them here, so you will have to find some differences on your own once the patch releases. This focus now takes 35 days as Crown Corporations, and then taking this focus when having Mackenzie King as your country leader also gives him an extra trait, and that is Father of the Canadian Welfare State. Oh boy. And then this focus gives you 2 civilian factories, that is Maritime Colonial Railway. Canada's getting some pretty good buffs here, honestly. And oh, what's this? There's a new agency icon and name, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And that's for intel agencies updated in Central American Formable. The old Formable nation of Central America now has 2 possible follow-up decisions that can give them a small bit of extra core states. And first up is integrating Panama, and the other one will let you integrating Yucatan. And that's going to be for the Central American Formable that I believe Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Nicaragua can all form in Hoi 4. There's a new American industrial concern, and now we arrive at my final contribution to this patch. First up, we have the Union Pacific Railroad for the USA, and that is going to help with trains for America. Just build all the trains you can with the Union Pacific Railway as a railway company. As for the owners of Law Resistance, they've also gained some new operatives, such as the new American operatives George Massillon, Joel Savati, Rene Joyous, and William G. Sabal, and Serge Oblinsky. These operatives are unlocked for the USA through some of the various war plan focuses. Very nice there. As for new German operatives, oh nice, there's some new ones for Germany as well. Those are Eric Gimpel, Johann Siegfried Becker, Herbert Hans Holt, Norman Bailey Stewart, and Fritz Jobert Duquins. And they're right here. And finally, there have been also some Japanese operatives added. They are Patrick von Heenan, John Seymour Farnsworth, and Ignatius Timothy Tribich Lincoln. What a name that is. And Ignatius Timothy Tribich Lincoln is right here. Then we have Farnsworth. And that's all for me, folks. And next up is Mordred Viking. There's a naval trait rework, apparently. Hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I have recently joined a Hearts of Iron 4 team. As some of you may know, I have a bit of a thing for naval warfare in Hoi, and have wanted to retouch the Admiral trait tree for a while now. Here's the old version, and here's the old version of the naval trait tree. And now the new one is going to be a little different. So reading this, it says here, there were a number of things about this tree I was not a huge fan of. Firstly, how certain earnable traits, the one you need to get through use, effectively block the latter assigned ones. Cruiser Captain being a particular pain to get due to fly swatter being very slow to gain. Further, there were a couple of traits which very rarely saw use, Minesweeper / Slayer being the most prominent, having 2 traits for an area not often focused on, basically meant they just never got used. Working together with Korax, we rejigged the positions, trying to keep new traits in some kind of order. Raiding, escorting, cruising, carrying, and big gunning. We have also increased the number of pathways to the assignable traits, meaning you should find yourself soft-locked far less frequently. Fly swatter has been made an assignable trait now instead, and here is the updated version. Alright then, and we also have combined the mine traits into one, and it has quite possibly the best description in the game. I'll leave you to find that for yourselves. Trial of Allegiance. So this is going to be content for the country pack itself, and I've EVB here before jumping into the content pack specific part of this dev diary. I think it's also worth pointing out that there will be a lot of bug fixes going into the Bolivar patch that have not been mentioned here, but are no less important. We'll be looking more at those in a later dev diary. Amazon rework. The Amazon rainforest is probably one of the most hostile places on the planet to get embroiled in a conflict due to the array of geographical features it includes. It is not the type of place you can sweep through with tanks or rapidly construct infrastructure to support massive infantry formations. As such, we made some changes to its portrayal in Hearts of Iron to better represent the difficulty of fighting there. Oh my goodness, they're going to make fighting in the Amazon more painful, it seems. Paradoxes, oh no, oh no. As you can see in the screenshot above, we added a number of impassable regions to better represent the deepest parts of the Amazon, where fighting would be almost impossible. However, we have created channels through the rainforest that follow the course of the major rivers along which troops can pass. And here are some of those channels, so that's going to be fun to fight on. This creates some really fun gameplay due to the natural choke points that develop in the area. However, we want to make sure there were still enough provinces along the riverside to allow for encirclements and interesting maneuvers. So that's going to be very intriguing. And now these changes have made the region challenging, but definitely more interesting. Anyone who can use the terrain to their advantage will likely enjoy fighting here. For example, using supply hubs along the river to support your troops without the need for railways can make a massive difference for your success in the region. On topic of map changes, we've also broken down the air regions above South America to make air combat more interesting. So there's going to be, I guess as of this time in Vanilla Holy 4, there just isn't that many air regions in South America, but now in Tribal Legions, there's going to be at least, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 or 12, I think, approximately, in South America. And now we have Peron. Hey everyone, it's Illidith again. After taking your feedback into consideration, we've decided to implement a short alternate path in a historical branch when you as the player can decide to elect Juan Perón as the leader of Argentina. The position in this tree means that you can either choose to support the Allies or go on your own conquest of South America, depending on the type of game you want to play. And Juan Perón, he has the leader trait of, I think, Peronism, and he's going to be the leader of the non-aligned party of Argentina, and here is his leader trait. And before I sign off, allow me to show you the leader portrait we have cooked up for the man himself. Here it is, very nice, and we hope you enjoy this addition to the Argentinian tree. We appreciate you giving us feedback as we go, and whilst we cannot implement all the changes in the time that we are allocated, we will do our best to accommodate. And Juan Perón in real life was the president of Argentina from 1946 to his overthrow in 1955, and later was president again from 1973 to his death in 1974. And he's quite the Cold War leader for Argentina in the early part of it anyway. And now we have Paraguay and Uruguay, and okay, this is Cranium up at here to present too many trees, Paraguay and Uruguay. These two trees start as a side project for me after the release of AAT, the Arms Against Tyranny DLC, mostly to give a small treat to you guys, but kind of kept growing in size as time went on. Time went on from a smaller shared tree into fully separated trees with a scope target like Osa or Iceland. Note that much of the icons are placeholders and will get updated. So we have Paraguay first. At the start of the game, Paraguay is reeling from two costly wars to ward the Triple Alliance and the Chaco War against Bolivia. This is failed in Paraguay, and the Triple Alliance happened quite a long time ago, even with the start date. I don't know, it happened in the 1800s, I know that much. But to be fair, it would have huge ramifications, because I believe Paraguay lost a massive amount of their population in the fighting for that. That did happen in the 1800s, and then there's the Chaco War. And so reading that, in February 1936, Rafael Franco will launch his coup against the government, where you can pick to either let him seize control of the country or resist him. Allowing him to take power will lead you down the historical path, and resisting him will plunge you into a civil war. Oh boy, that's fun. Civil war in Holy 4. Seizing power will allow you to do various socialist and military reforms. While not a communist per se, Franco, not that one, certainly had policies that were left-leaning in nature, but also had typical military dictatorship tendencies. I guess he kind of had that in common with the other Franco. But he didn't last long, though, and got ousted by the military after pulling back troops from the Chaco region. You can keep Franco, though, not that one, by not pulling back from the Chaco, which is the second alternate history choice. Pulling back from the Chaco will lead to a revolt within the army, putting who's that? Marengo, I can't say his name, in power. If Franco is more left-leaning, Marengo is the polar opposite. To put it bluntly, he had strong pro-Nazi sympathies, with parts of the police force and the military adopting the symbolism of the Third Reich. He also allied himself with militias, banned parties, and consolidated his power. This focused path will pivot the country from the Franco left-leaning military dictatorship towards a more fascist and authoritarian military dictatorship under this new guy. And Paraguay is going to have different shades of military dictatorship, I guess, in tribal allegiance. As an example, the police chief at the time named his kid Adolfo Hirohito. I wonder how his life went with the name of the leader of Germany and Japan at the time, in that period of history. And while starting as unaligned in this path, you can eventually commit fully to fascism, or you can stay unaligned. And one of the biggest reasons why Paraguay did not drift closer to the Axis powers was because of direct intervention from the USA. They started financing various endeavors in the country which kept Paraguay out of the war, such as formable loans, road finance, and technical assistance. And again, this is modeled as accepting American investment, whereby you won't be able to join the Axis for the duration of the investment. Going down all the investment paths will keep you out of the Axis powers, but get you massive boost to the economy. How far you exploit this is up to you. Going back to the world where Franco does not pull back from the Chaco, the alternative is war with Bolivia. This lets you keep Franco and get some early conquest. With Bolivia conquered, you can finally get a coastline by getting war goals against Peru and Chile, which leads to a very strange shape of a country. And this is my current playthrough. So here we have Paraguay, who's conquered Bolivia, Peru, and Chile. And yeah, that's a very odd shape for a country, but that's just how it worked out. And yeah, it has an interesting shape. So here's something about a military coup attempt. And going on now, going back to the top, there is the other alternative history, the Civil War route. Should you resist the Franco takeover, you will enter a state of civil war where the army will rise up. And now it says here the army will have the upper hand at the start of the war, but the Paraguay River gives excellent defense. To win the Civil War, you can use the American scare of a communist state, well, quote-unquote communist state, in its sphere of influence to increase your power. You can also use your wife's ties to France to get some aid from there. Most powerful of all are the Marines, which will be used to break the river and win the war. Or you can go to Bolivia to become involved, which leads to a three-way war you can exploit. With that, you can exploit, and when all is said and done, here's some focuses here, placeholder images, of course. And when all is said and done, well, some of them are anyway, I think. And when all is said and done, you can use your Civil War general, I can't say that, Jose Hesta Garimba, to purge the military and cement your rule over the country. This leads to co-rule between Iola and whatever. Or you can let Astorgoma take full control. It will take a while to rebuild the country, as the Civil War and the various wars have likely taken their toll, but eventually it will lead to a flourishing economy. Oh boy, Uruguay was comparatively more stable than Paraguay during the time frame, despite being under a quasi-dictatorship under Gabriel Terra. Despite this, they enjoyed a rapid GDP growth and relative stability. The beginning of the period centers around industrialization and the policies under Terra. Around 1938, he will step down, and he can pick between the Colorados or the Blancos, which are the two main parties in Uruguay, but both are democratic aligned. And here we have, I guess, the focuses for the Colorados and the Blancos. And then going onward now, if democracy isn't to your liking, you can instead go down the Furman Plan, ally with agitators like Adolfo Aguirre, become fascist, and use it as your springboard for the Axis powers in South America. This path is now locked behind any election event and can be beelined to at a game start if this game... Okay, this path is now locked behind any... Maybe it's a typo that says this path is not locked behind any election event, and so can be beelined to at a game start if so pleased. Before asking, of course, there's events for the Battle of River Plate, and that is something relating to the Kriegsmarine and the Royal Navy, and I believe in real life the German ship, the Graf Spee, was sunk, And yeah, I think that's what that is relating to, and which will be triggered whenever a British and German ship in the southern Georgia Sea or in the Argentine coast of the same at the same time. We got some shared branches here for Paraguay and Uruguay, and then going on, there are also some shared branches between Paraguay and Uruguay, which will appear in both trees. And then first off, the conquest branch allows you to do a small-scale war at the start of the game for some quick conquest. If you are cheeky enough, you can even conquer parts of Brazil while being in the Paraguayan Civil War to bypass parts of the river line. Uruguay has access to this, but they will target Rio Grande do Sul and region Mesopotamica. I think that's what that says. Later you can decide whether you want to go on a crusade against imperialism, foregoing any factions, but having the ability to core more land, or a more conservative approach where you can core some land but you can still join factions. So that's a trade you can make. And so we have South America. If Paraguay takes over everything, that is the South American Free State, I think that's called. And then for Uruguay, there is the River Plate Federation. So that's intriguing, a bit silly fun, where hopefully it can be a challenge as well as long-term goals in a playthrough. The industrial branch focuses on the exports of the country, which mostly comprises of beef, wool, hide. Well, it comprises beef, wool, hides, and other agricultural products. And you can also choose to empower the landowners, upon which they will start improving your economy automatically. In this screenshot, they seem really keen on adding a building slot. That is definitely interesting, honestly. The research branch is where you get your 3rd, 4th, and 5th slot. This you require to be in to have some industry to unlock each, with each slot gradually getting more difficult to get. The focus will also unlock more SIBs the more you have invested in the industrial focus. So if you want those slots early, you might have to sacrifice some industry. Similarly to all other focus trees in this pack, Uruguay and Paraguay will use the shared military branch. So we have Paraguay. I think this is Is this Paraguay? No, that's Uruguay. This is Uruguay. This is Uruguay. Then we have Paraguay right here. And these are the 2 trees in their totality. I hope you're all doing well and are excited for the release. Peace. Next week, AVB here. And that's it here again. And that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it and are looking forward to Tribal Allegiance. Next week, we'll be looking at Alternate History Brazil. And here we have some flags and developer replies. There's some flags for the Peruvian-Bolivian Confederation. And here is the state map of all of South America for the upcoming DLC, I believe. And here are some leader portraits. Very nice. And I think with that, I'm going to end this video here. This has been the Hearts of Iron 4 Developer Diary, extra bag of, well, the giant bag of goodies Developer Diary for the upcoming DLC, Trial of Allegiance. And with that said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.